We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Wednesday, August 27th here in Seoul. I'm Lee Soo-jin, and this is News Generation. Joining us today is Kwon Ji-yeon.
Good morning, Soo-jin.
Good morning. Also, Im Sang was with us.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So it's Wednesday, which means we're going to begin with our keyword news, where we look at a story that has been gaining traction over the past 24 hours. And today's keyword is potato bread. A signature snack from South Korea's Gangwon-do province, potato bread is making waves in Japan. According to Kotra, the snack set the highest sales record for a single bakery item in 10 years during a Tokyo department store pop-up with lines stretching for nearly an hour. But it's not just food that's attracting Japanese crowds. Pinkfong, the Korean character behind the global Baby Shark hit, opened its first standalone pop-up store in Japan on August 14th, also drawing long lines of visitors on opening day. So Sang-yeol, which Korean snack or product do you see going global next?
Well, I recently found a gem of my own.
Okay.
Recently
Please share.
At a nearby convenience store. It's called the melon cake. It's a slightly different version of the original banana cake, which is a snack that tastes like a sweet banana, and the texture is crispy, so it has been popular for a long time in the Korean food industry. The new melon cake looks just like its original prototype, but it has the flavor of sweet melon. Now, the best compliment for Korean snacks is that I'm pretty sure that you guys know about this, that it's sweet, but it's not that too sweet. And I think this is because Koreans don't really like overly sweet products filled with sugary coatings. And melon cake is the one that fits right into this expression. It's sweet, but it's not too sweet, which is the reason why many people love it. And overall, I think Korean snacks are tastier than other snacks in other countries. I'm not saying this because I'm Korean, but truly there are many different flavors and tastes among Korean snacks, from the one that tastes like a shrimp to snacks that taste like bananas, melons, or even rice cakes.
There's definitely a wide variety of flavors. Another thing about banana cake that you mentioned, I'm pretty sure it doesn't have flour in it.
No.
So I'm guessing melon cake, that's another benefit of that. So what about you, Ji-yeon?
Oh, I think it's very difficult to just pick only one that is going global. But if I had to choose one, I'd point to a Korean crisp shaped like a turtle's shell. Yes, it looks like a turtle shell. And they've just released a new flavor that is yangnyeom chicken flavor, a nod to Korea's famous sweet and spicy fried chicken that is both in Korea and the United States. It is sweet, salty, and spicy all at once, with the spice kicking in at the end. Yes, Korean people like those saltness and spicy, and this as well. It's a smart move combining a beloved soul food with a snack that already travels well abroad. This crisp is now sold in over 20 different countries, and you can even find it in more than 200 American stores. Since its first launch in 2017, it's built up nearly 5 trillion won in global sales, making it one of Korea's strongest snack exports. So it's no longer just a local treat, it's becoming part of a global K-snack road. So this is Korea's soft power, one crunch at a time.
I like what you said at the end there, one crunch at a time.
That's right.
So from potato bread to Pinkfong, it seems Korean products continue to find new ways to win fans abroad. And here on NewsGen, we will be keeping a close eye on what will be the next flavor, trend, or character to capture global attention. And that concludes our keyword news for this Wednesday. And as we head into the third day of the work week, we're diving into the fascinating debate over sons versus daughters and how shifting preferences reflect deeper changes in family values and society. So let's take a look at the screen to learn more. Sons or daughters? Daughters or sons? It's a debate that sparked conversation in families across cultures and generations. Traditionally, many countries around the world, including here in Korea, sons were considered the more desirable choice, often because they were expected to carry on the family name or provide financial security. But times are clearly changing. Even in countries that once showed a clear preference for sons, such as Korea, we're now seeing a shift towards daughters, reflecting broader changes in society and family values. So today on News Generation, we're going to explore why this change is happening, what it tells us about our culture, where the conversation might go from here. So as we just saw, South Korea is now ranked as a #1 country in the world when it comes to parents preferring daughters over sons. That's a remarkable finding, especially considering that not too long ago, the opposite was true. Sons were often considered more desirable because of traditions like carrying on a family name or providing financial support. But times have clearly changed, and this shift says a lot about how Korean society and family dynamics are evolving. So today, we're going to dive into this trend of South Korean parents increasingly preferring daughters. So Chun, since you're a mom yourself, I'd like to start with you. Do you personally feel this preference for daughters among other moms around you these days?
Definitely. A lot. Well, I do feel that among mums around me, there's a strong sense that you really should have a daughter. You need a daughter in your life. Well, you know, many say daughters make the best companions because they speak as they grow. And I'm a mum of 2 boys, in fact, but to be honest, I always imagined my first child would be a girl. When the doctor hinted buy something blue, I was stunned and tried to hide my reaction because, you know, the one in my belly was listening to it. But well, in the end, I just dressed my son in all of that, in all of the stuff. Well, with my second, I was told for months it was a girl until plot twist, it was a boy. We've got all the presents in pink color, pink walls as well. And I have to tell the company that I have it changed into a daughter to son. My husband and I we were speechless. We were very quiet for a moment. So yes, I see why many prefer daughters. They are thought to stay very close with their mom and dad and care for their parents a lot. But I wouldn't call it a ranking or a competition. What I really feel is that values have shifted a lot from carrying on the family line to who will be there for you when you get older. And in the end, most parents, myself included, simply wish for healthy, happy child. And so whether it's blue or pink, the color that really matters is joy.
But that must have been quite a shock when you found out later on.
So I thought it was pink and then it turned into blue.
And you found out quite later during the pregnancy? 8 months.
Yes.
You definitely did have all the things prepared for a daughter.
Indeed, absolutely.
But I guess now you're quite happy with
I am definitely happy indeed. Absolutely.
So as for you, Sang, I know you don't have any children yourself yet, but do you hear this preference for daughters among your friends who want to become parents, maybe?
So I'm not married and I don't have children, but when I asked this question to friends around me, 9 out of 10 say
really,
they
so a clear majority.
Yes, they say they want daughters. And this was regardless of male or female friends. And I think it has to do with a general social norms. They have a belief that daughters tend to be more friendly and respectful to their parents than sons. So raising a baby is challenging, of course, regardless of gender, but there is a higher chance that boys are more tough to handle and cause troubles as they grow. And when parents retire and get old, it's usually the daughters that take care of their parents. And of course, there is no give and return in parenting. It's a one-way love. But when you think about the time and energy, girls are easier than raising a boy, and this is leading to many young couples preferring daughters these days.
So do you have any siblings by any chance?
I have a younger brother.
You have younger brothers. Would you say you were difficult to raise, you and your brother? How was it?
Well, according to my mom, we were relatively easier to raise than other family with 2 sons, but I'm not really sure about that. But still, I guess, yeah, I went smoothly throughout my puberty, so I guess we were relatively easier.
So looking more broadly, let's take a step back and consider the bigger picture. So Jian, how has Korea's preference for daughters evolved over the years, and what factors have driven that change?
Well, in fact, Korea's attitude has dramatically changed over these years. Well, if you look at the chart, according to a recent survey, about 28% of Koreans now say they prefer daughters. That's a remarkable turnaround back in 1992. 58% wanted sons and over 10% wanted daughters back in the days. In just 3 decades, the tables have completely turned. And another survey last year found that 62% to be exact, of Koreans believe you should at least have one daughter, while only 36% said the same about sons. I can tell from those everyday encounters that society's mindset has truly shifted. I can really feel that in daily life. In fact, when I'm out with my two boys, older people who like to speak to other people often stop me and ask me, well, or say, you should have at least have one daughter. You know, you have only two sons. Sometimes I want to reply, well, if it's guaranteed, I would like to have that. You know, promising thing, but I just smile to them, you know. But in the past, though, things were completely different. Korea was a farming society, and families wanted sons who could work the land. It was an agricultural society and provide physical labor for them. That's why boys were often seen as more valuable. But today, the picture has shifted. One key reason is elder care in Korea. Most caregiving still falls on women. For example, a study showed that 82.4% of those caring for dementia patients were females. 42% were daughters, but only 15% were sons. So it's no surprise parents now see daughters as more likely to offer support later in their life. In the end, it's not about sons or daughters, it's about who actually answers the family group chat.
You're a daughter. Do you answer the family group chat often?
Often, always. I send them.
I see.
Yeah,
and do you have a brother?
I have an older brother. He never replies.
He's never there?
He's never there. I don't think he exists in the room, in the chat room, though.
So do you have anything you'd like to add to this, Hang-Hyuk? Could you share more about maybe the fundamental shift in society's perceptions, how that's impacting the way parents think about having daughters versus sons?
Definitely sons were more preferred decades back. But now daughters are becoming a better option, and this is not because of a shift in preference of a certain gender, but it's a signal that social perception toward the view of a family and the role of caring one's parents are undergoing a structural change. So during the 80s and 90s, a general social norm was that sons are the ones that would take care of parents after they age, while daughters were a bit considered to be a giveaway to another family after getting married. But now the reality is daughters turn out to be the ones that support their parents after retirement, creating a social atmosphere that daughters are more helpful and trustworthy than sons. Again, it's inappropriate to measure the value of your child, but still daughters are becoming a mental asset to their parents, providing care and well-being.
So what about you? You're a son. Do you see yourself taking care of your parents, like in the way back in the future?
Yes, I would definitely take care of my parents after they retire and get old, because I'm the first child. So as a first child, I have been enrooted with deep responsibility since I was young. So yeah.
So you're a good son. So I guess it's not just daughters that do this. So yeah. So Jiyeon, so what makes this trend especially interesting is that it's almost a complete reversal from the past. So traditionally, how did Koreans view sons versus daughters?
I think we have to look at the past, our tradition, our culture. Well, back in the day, sons were considered far more precious in Korea, as Hang-Hyuk mentioned. Under Confucius tradition, people strongly believed a son should carry on the family line. And many couples would keep trying until they had a boy, son, even if they already had several daughters. If you look back at your grandparents' generation, you often see big families with many daughters, and at last the youngest child being a boy. Sometimes family even named their last daughter with Nam, meaning boy in Chinese letter, like Pongnam or Nam, hoping the next child would finally be a son. It really shows how powerful that our old mindset was back in the days and how much times have changed. But imagine being the daughter called boy. You have a boy name at the end of your letter name, and you know, still had it, but the boy, the brother, hasn't still arrived. So proof of how far we have come now.
We really have, because you know, I'm the only daughter in my family, and I do remember even when I was a kid, like my grandparents would be like, you have to be kind of the son of the family. So I remember hearing this. And you actually have a brother. Do you feel like, did you ever feel like your grandparents kind of preferred your brother over you sometimes?
A little bit. I think they did prefer son, your daughter. But, you know, there was some sort of discrimination when it comes to food. But, you know, if you think about that, I think they love both of us. Yes.
They do. It definitely shows how times have really changed.
Right, indeed.
So looking beyond Korea, so how does this shift compare with global trends, Hang-Hyuk? Are the other countries also showing a growing preference for daughters, or is Korea kind of more unique in this regard?
Actually, the people from other countries are saying that babies' gender don't really matter. Across the globe, 65% of the respondents from 44 states mentioned that their baby's gender is not that important. 15% say they prefer sons, while a slightly bigger 16% prefer daughters. Countries with higher preference on daughters were in the order of South Korea, Japan, Spain, Philippines, and Bangladesh. However, if you look at Korea only, 56% of the respondents still said that genders doesn't really matter, which is contrary to what we mostly believe. The countries that wanted sons over daughters were in the order of India, Philippines, Ecuador, and China.
This is all really interesting. So traditionally, parents have seen different advantages to having sons versus daughters. Each comes with its own unique joys and challenges. And what makes today's trend so fascinating is that Korea, which historically, as we talked about, leans heavily towards sons, is now showing a clear shift in preference towards daughters. And this change reflects broader social transformation, attitude towards gender roles, family dynamics, and even economic considerations have all evolved over time. So to get a better sense of where people stand on this issue, we conducted a poll on the Arirang's YouTube channel asking if you could have one child, would you prefer that it be a boy or a girl? So 41% of respondents said they would choose a girl, while 23% said they would prefer a boy, and 36% said they had no particular preference. So the results are also quite interesting. So to gain a broader perspective on this topic, we'll also be speaking with someone from a country that, in contrast to Korea, has ranked very high for its preference for sons. So that conversation will take place right after the break, so don't go anywhere.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us today is Monita, a student from India who's currently studying here in Korea. Hi Monita, thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Thank you so much for having me here again, and thank you. Yeah.
So, thank you. India is ranked first in the world for its preference for sons, with 39% of the people surveyed expressing this view. So how about in your own family or among the people you know? Do you notice this preference?
Well, 39% is such a significant number. Yeah, I think it's true that India still shows preference for sons, but the situation is very diverse across regions. I personally from Manipur, Northeast India, and in my own family, I've never been treated like differently. And I've never felt such biases. And I consider myself very fortunate to have been treated equally and receiving my family's full support in terms of education. And thanks to all those encouragement, I'm now able to pursue my career in here, South Korea, which is truly meaningful to me. However, I've also noticed that this mindset still exists in some parts of the society, Indian society. I think it often comes from traditional beliefs that sons would carry the family line and perform all those religious rituals, the last rites, yeah, and are seen more reliable in supporting parents in all ages. While daughters, on the other hand, are expected to marry into another household. And for some communities, even now, like having a son is still tied to pride and social status. But I do see some positive changes. Daughters are excelling in education, careers, and supporting their families just like sons. And my story is one of the examples of this shift. So while the preference still exists, I still feel hopeful that Indian society is also moving towards a greater equality.
I see, Monita. I think you mentioned a little bit, but in your opinion, what do you think are the main reasons behind the preference for sons?
In my opinion, traditions. I think the main reason would go back to historical circumstances and traditional practices. So traditionally, sons were the only ones who would continue their family lines, and they are the only ones who would like perform the religious rituals where daughters cannot, and provide. They're the only ones who will provide financial securities, and daughters were like unreliable, were seen to be unreliable, and they were often expected to leave home after marriage, where parents feel that they were less permanent members of the family. So in some areas, in my opinion, the practice of dowry also contributed to the idea that raising a daughter would be a financial burden, while sons were viewed as an investment. But today, things are changing, and more and more focus on education and exposure to new ideas are helping families realize that daughters can also achieve as much as sons. And personally, I could also study abroad with the help of my family's full support as a daughter. And all these experiences taught me how much potential is unlocked when we give children equal opportunities. So while the traditions may explain the past, but I believe those outdated ideas are slowly fading, slowly, but still fading away. So, and the society is moving towards valuing sons and daughters equally.
Okay, then on a personal note, would you prefer a son or daughter? And could you briefly explain why?
For me, well, it doesn't really matter whether I have a son or a daughter. What matters most is raising a child with love, respect, and equal opportunities. Every child, boy or girl, has unique strengths and potentials. A son can bring comfort and support, and just as a daughter can. So, what makes a child valuable is not their gender, but the values they live by and the kind of person they will become. So I do often reflect on my journey as a daughter. Having my family support gave me the chance to pursue my dreams. And those experiences have taught me how important it is to give children encouragement, no matter their gender. So
All
if I
right.
have children in the future, my focus won't be on whether it's a boy or girl, but on raising them to be kind, decent, and responsible human beings.
I agree. Thank you so much for sharing your insight with us today and for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So we just heard from a young person from India how the preference for sons plays out in their country. And now finally to close today's discussion. So when it comes to this daughters versus son debate, what do you think the right answer is, Trion?
I think there's no right answer for that. You know, all children, they bring energy, brightness, happiness to your life, even though there is some screaming and yelling at the end and crying, of course. You know, as a mom of two, I think, you know, whichever child you have, they become your greatest gift, you know, in your lifetime. And in my case, two boys were the perfect answer. I'd never expected, even though my husband still hasn't given up the third one, which might be a daughter. Yes.
What about you, Sang-yeon?
So yeah, regardless of gender, it takes the whole village to raise a child. So without considering the gender, giving love and support is all we need for the children.
Right. So it's really clear that at the end of the day, whether it's a son or daughter, each comes with their own joys and challenges. And this shift in preference shows how much society has changed, and it may continue to evolve in the years ahead. And while the debate over sons versus daughters would probably always spark discussion, probably the bigger picture is that more and more parents are focusing less on gender, more on raising happy and healthy children. This brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation. But News Gen will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. Big thanks to Chion.
Thank you so much.
Big thanks to Sang-yeon. It's your last official day.
Yes, it is, and thank you for having me.
And we hope that we might not see you.
It's been my
It's been
honor.
great to have you. We might not see you as often, but hopefully we see you again
Sure,
sometime.
definitely.
And to all our viewers, thank you so much for watching, and we hope you have the best day. We are News
News
Generation.
Generation.